Hi, this is Rachel. So I just wanted to talk to you guys about women of addiction. Let me start my presentation. Okay, so women of addiction. That's what we're going to start with. Um, so let's talk about women. The Addiction Center in Utica has 20 beds for men and 5 for female. Why don't they have equal number of beds? Does the Addiction Stabilization Center have the same amount of referrals for men and women? These are the thoughts that I used to work at the Addiction Center for about 5 years, and I struggled with because I feel like, why is there only 5 beds for men or 20 beds for men, but 5 for females? Why is it you can't tell me out in the world that there's less female with addiction, less women, and there's a whole bunch of men that have addiction but women don't. Well, that just ain't true. So why are there not enough women coming into the addiction center? Why don't we have an equal number of beds? These are the things I was struggling with when I started this project. So there's Susan Gordon. She reports that, or she is a PhD. She wrote an article. She has a blog. And in this blog, she wrote Women in Addiction, Gender Issues in Abuse and Treatment. But this was in 2002. She reports childcare is an issue that has been identified in a number of research studies. Women often cannot afford to pay for childcare while they are in treatment, regardless of whether the treatment is long, residential, day treatment, or hourly treatment sessions. They often feel guilty about burdening their family or friends with caring for their children and worry about the safety of care facilities. In addition, some women do not seek treatment for addiction because they fear that open knowledge of the problem can be used against them by the child welfare system to remove their children from their home. So knowing that and going forward, this is what I had in my thought process. Men still have kids. So what's up with that? Why do men have kids, but men don't have childcare? Or they do, but it's usually the mother of the child that tends to take care of the children. So why is it the women can't rely on the men to watch their child? These are just the questions that are going through my mind when I was doing this. So I really struggled with this because women should have the same amount of rights as men, especially in this day and age. So why can't they? Why can't we find childcare for this? If the patient, which just happens to be a female, needs to have addiction assistance, whether it's just going to a group or going to inpatient or any of that, why can't we find them help with their childcare so that they can use these services that are available? Men don't seem to have a problem with it. So I started my interviews off with the Addiction Center. This one is Mary, and she is just a normal counselor over there at the Addiction Center. So I called her up, and she has together, they have 15 individuals. They have 13 men, and they have just 2 women in the Addiction Center. And the Addiction Center is a inpatient stay where you would stay and get groups throughout the day and get medical help if needed. So Mary reports that they usually had a population of 25 before COVID, where 20 were men and around 5 were women. But due to COVID, they had to decrease their numbers. So I asked Mary why she thought women weren't coming to the center. And she reported what I thought: childcare. Men usually don't have to worry about this because the child's mother would take care of the children. So then I asked Mary who would take care of the children when the women came in the facility. Those women that just happened to come in the facility that did have that need childcare. Who did they have watched the children? And Mary reported to me that for the women that did come in, they had either already lost their children or they had supportive grandparents to assist. Majority of these women that came into the facility, the men usually didn't help with watching the children because they too had substance abuse issues that they were getting assistance with, either through the addiction center or through a different facility. So with that being said, I then looked into Sarah from the addiction center, and she's in charge of all the addiction center, the whole facility. And she's also part of the Oneida County overdose response team that assists the community when they have a spike alert. So like when they have multiple overdoses and within 24 hours, Sarah is the one that gets that call, and they have several fatal casualties. She's part of the overdose response team as well as the addiction center. So she does both. I asked her the same questions that I asked Mary, and she sadly gave me the same answer. Sarah reports that she keeps tracks of every interview that they do with the community. She had several women. Some of them just don't show up to get the help. Sarah reported that some women struggle with childcare, but they also struggle with domestic violence. And if the partner doesn't want the woman to get help, often the woman doesn't come in. Sarah reported that women have several barriers, and they have several women that ran away from their partners just to come in without their partner knowing. So when I looked into it, I thought, okay, childcare, that's majority of it. But I guess there's several barriers. So as I was communicating with Sarah, she discussed a lot of women get discriminated against. If they do have children, they get frowned upon. Why are you watching your children and you have addiction issues? And a lot of these women tend to feel isolated and ashamed. So that's also why they don't seek help. Domestic violence, again, that's a whole separate issue of why they don't get help. If the partner isn't ready to get help, but the woman does, that's a whole issue in itself. So there's many barriers for women of why women don't come into the facility. Sarah did give me an instance where a woman had waited like 30 days, was trapped in the home and couldn't get away from her spouse. And she tried, but they were both addicts, and he kept giving her drugs, but wouldn't allow her to run away or get help. So that was a very interesting story that Sarah told to me. That's true, and that happened several months ago. So I don't know. How should I proceed with this knowledge? This community needs a specific addiction center that helps women and allows them to bring their children to the center. In New York City has this. This is called an Odyssey House. What does the Odyssey House do? So I looked into this really, really good because I was very interested in how to get women into the facilities. The Odyssey House has room for each woman in their family, and their family can stay with them. So when the woman has to go to group, or when the woman has to go to anything like that, then they have babysitters on hand that will take care of the children while the woman is in group. Or they have a bus that comes around to the Odyssey House and picks up the kids and takes them to school while the woman is completing her recovery process. And I think this is wonderful because women do need the help if they have kids and they can't get childcare. And this is a struggle. How do we assist the woman? And I think that is a wonderful idea. And I'm glad that New York City has this. I think it would be great for Utica to have it. One side of Utica, maybe one in Rome, one in Herkimer, around the, every little county should have one. Because it's so important. If we had, how many people we would help if 20 men came in and we only had 5 women, there's 15 women that could need assistance. They can't get it because of this. So a lot of women are just ashamed and they don't want their kids taken away from or anything like that. And I think if we helped them, like the Odyssey House does, then we wouldn't have the problems that we have. I think that's pretty much all. And I thank you.